Hey everybody, this is Kohdok here, and welcome back to part 3 of my full review of Lightseekers. Today we're going to be taking a look at the first product that PlayFusion put out for sale, the trading card game. Released back in May, the trading card game sees players taking on the role of a Lightseeker hero from one of 6 different orders, using decks made of action cards and combos in an effort to take down their opponents. There are currently 6 starter decks, one for each order, available for $20 each, an intro pack which contains 2 basic decks for $30, and boosters of 9 cards for $4 each. Each toy also comes with 1 or more cards, and everything but the booster packs include a foil tribute card, though most boosters also contain 1 or 2 foil parallel cards. The starter decks and intro packs all contain the decks, a basic card sleeve like the ones found in Pokemon starters, a life tracking pawn, a special sleeve to conceal the coded borders of a card, more on that in a later video, a playmat, and a separate rulebook. Hallelujah! Each deck and intro pack also includes a free booster pack, a move which always gets a thumbs up from me, as I like the idea of a starter deck also providing a taste of the game's possible depth. Every player's deck consists of a hero card, 5 unique combo cards, and 30 action cards, of which you can have up to 3 copies of any one action card and 1 of each combo. A card's rarity is determined by the box on the bottom. Common cards have white text, uncommons have blue text, and rares have orange text. The hero card is like your avatar, or your partner if you think in Wicross terms, and determines which cards you can play. It's very similar to the hero cards used in games like UFS, Hearthstone, or Sentinels of the Multiverse, where each hero has their own starting health and 3 elements determined by the order they are in. Each order has an attack element, a defense element, and a support element, conveniently placed left to right on the hero card. A hero may play 1 card or use 1 ability of each element that they have per turn. However, if one of their elements is surrounded by a golden burning ring, then that element is considered superior and does not follow the 1 card per turn restriction, meaning you can play 2 or more cards of that element in a turn, assuming you have enough actions to do so. Most heroes also have a special ability, from the mundane to the fantastic. Your hero's superior elements and abilities can have a huge influence over what kind of deck you end up making. Action cards make up the bulk of your deck and come in 4 types: attack cards, defend cards, buffs, and items. You can play up to 2 action cards on your turn and may stash up to 3 copies of any one action card in your deck of 30. Along with action cards in each of the 3 elements of each of the 6 orders, there are also unaligned cards which can be played by any hero. The general rule on action card text is that all text is mandatory, with the exception of cards that use the words may or up to, of course, and that you must satisfy a card's text to the best of your ability. It's similar to the ruling in Pokemon. You also cannot play more than 1 copy of any given card each turn. Another important thing to keep in mind is that action card refers to any card that isn't a hero card or a combo card. It's just an important note to take. Attack and defend cards do largely the same thing. You play them, follow their effect, and send them to the discard pile. The only difference between an attack card and a defend card is that you cannot target yourself with an attack card. You cannot, for example, hit yourself with the damage from Geoda Hatchling to try to trigger effects that happen when you take damage, but at the same time, Shadow Puppet cannot force you to discard one of your own buffs if your opponent only has 1 buff in play that it can remove. If an attack card does do anything to you, it will say so. Then there are the buffs. Buffs are sort of like enchantments or permanents in that, when played from the hand, they stay on the field, ordered left to right in the order they are played. There are buffs that permanently stay in play, other buffs that are triggered by an effect and are discarded after use, and then there are the rotating buffs. Rotating buffs are a unique aspect of Lightseekers, where the card has different effects depending on how many turns it has been in play. It's sort of like that house rule many people use on the Yu-Gi-Oh card Swords of Revealing Light, where you rotate it to show how many turns it has been in play. A rotating buff, as its name suggests, turns 1 quarter turn counterclockwise at the start of every turn. It activates the effect of its first corner the moment it hits play, and then, at the start of its owner's turn, all rotating buffs are rotated 1 step, and then all are activated in the first in, first out order they were played. Once a buff is turned to a corner without a turn symbol, or if it returns to its original upright position, it is considered expired and goes to the discard pile. Some rotation buffs have numbers on their corners, some have X's, and some have nothing. When a buff has a number in its top left corner, that buff will refer to that number in its card text with a rotating symbol. When it is blank, it usually means the card has an effect that doesn't involve any numbers, and when a buff has an X in its active corner, the card is considered to have no effect. And finally, there are irregular buffs. Rather than a round symbol, irregular buffs have an angular symbol in their active corners. These buffs do not rotate at the start of your turn, nor activate their effects when they hit the field. Instead, they rotate whenever their ability is activated or when the card otherwise says they will rotate. Some buffs even have a mix of regular and irregular corners, in which case you go with whatever corner is currently active. The last kind of action card is the item card. These represent the sorts of weapons that the Lightseekers use in the video game and work similarly to permanent buffs, staying on the field after they are played. They behave a little differently though. First of all, each item card has a point value, and each player may only have 2 points worth of items in play at a time, and no 2 copies of the same item. Each item also has a large element symbol on them. This symbol grants heroes the ability to use cards of that element, might even give superior access to that element, and is currently the only way to make cross-order decks that utilize some of the cross-order combos. Some items also have special effects, though this is currently limited to the cards obtained with the actual toys. Item cards are also more durable than buffs. They never expire, and there are not very many cards that affect them. Many hero, buff, and item cards give you access to something called an ability. Once per turn, rather than playing an action card, you may instead use one of your in-play abilities. It's as straightforward as it sounds. And finally, there are combos. These cards make up the final 5 cards of your 35-card deck. You can only have 1 copy of any given combo card in your deck, and playing one takes up your entire turn, no matter how many actions you have. They work like the super moves seen in fighting games, where after a furious storm of punches and kicks, you enter in the super arts command and watch for a few seconds as your character does something awesome. It helps to think of it as something that time-consuming. Combo cards are your power cards, and they also come at a price. On the top of the cards is the casting cost of the combo. To play a combo, you must take cards from your hand that match the elemental symbols on top of the combo and shuffle them into your deck. And yes, you are able to use items and other combos in your hand to pay for a combo's cost. In fact, selecting combos based on their ability to pay for other combos is a viable part of deck building. To start a game, players set out their hero cards and shuffle their decks. Whoever goes first draws 4 cards, and whoever goes second draws 5. At the start of a player's turn, after rotating all of their buffs and activating their effects, they get 2 actions, which can each be used to play an action card or activate an ability. They can also forego all of their actions to play a combo. At the end of their turn, for every action that they did not use, they draw 1 card. They also draw 1 card at the end of their turn if they played a combo. So yes, you can skip both actions on your turn to draw 2 cards. Now, 2 actions per turn may not sound like a lot, but once you start getting some buffs and items into play, particularly rotating buffs, you'll be doing a lot more on your turns. It also keeps the action flowing from player to player, as you won't be playing a ton of cards in a turn like you might in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon. The goal is, of course, to reduce your opponent's health to 0 by dealing damage to them, and each order has their own way of going about it. From the tanky, reprisal-prone Mountain Order to the aggressive, high-damage antics of the Storm Order — yes, these cute little guys are the ones with the hyper-aggression deck — each order feels suitably unique, and there are even several ways of playing each order where these superior elements can help you tell what kind of deck you're playing, from a defense-heavy deck to a support-heavy deck, and so forth. Though they were only able to provide this sort of variety by seriously front-loading their base set. I'm not kidding when I say that the first set has nearly 400 cards in it. And while that may introduce a lot of the game's depth right away, it also makes it a bit of a nightmare to build a deck for and risks overwhelming new players. Yeah, the game has a few problems. In some cases, the card text can be a tad glib, though the current ruling is that buffs specifically refer to only your own cards unless it says otherwise, but most of the problems are logistical ones. Now, while they did make some smart moves, such as decoupling the rarity of the hero card you get in each pack from the rarity of the other cards in the pack — thank you for watching my Redikai video, it's always nice to know I have fans in the industry — there are a few more shrewd things about how this game distributes itself. You see, each starter deck contains 5 exclusive cards, and then 1 copy of each. Now, this isn't really a problem in the case of the heroes and combos, as you only need 1 of each, but each deck also has 3 exclusive action cards, many of which are easily the sort that you would want to carry a full complement of 3 copies of, such as Lava Bouncer and Warp Toad. I mean, Konami does this too, but at least they have the decency to do it with $10 decks instead of $20 ones. It's more like they're following the leader of Vanguard, but that's not really the best for little kids who might want to get into it. The intro pack itself also doesn't contain a single rare card, compared to the starter decks which contain 7, aside from the 1, maybe 2, from its included booster pack. Less agitating, but still a bit annoying, a lot of the booster packs can be overloaded with combos. I've gotten as many as 6 combos in a pack before, and they can get old pretty fast, seeing as you only ever need 1 copy of each of them, and most of the common ones come in the starter deck anyway. And considering the sheer size and scope of the base set and just how many cards you really do want 3 copies of, getting that many combos can be a little disheartening. They take up only 1/7 of your deck, but easily make up 1/3 of my collection and more than half of my cards up for trade. A friend of mine tried to buy a booster box, but even though he apparently got 2 of every combo, he failed to even make a single playset of any of the action cards. And then there are the cards locked away behind the toys, many of which are important to several strategies. This is kind of why I think they probably should have cut the base set in half and saved them for a second set. Why have the buff denial strategy cards out when their key support item has yet to be released? For the moment, the best way to build the deck you really want without going bankrupt buying cards is by colluding with other players. Which really makes me wonder why I haven't seen any sort of organized play, league support, or any big push to get people playing their game. I mean, they've put out the Blobsworth card as a giveaway at their booths at trade shows, but those don't have any card text that lets them be playable. I'm just saying, the best way to get people playing your game is by getting your cards into their hands. But despite everything I just said, I think the card game is the single best thing that they have put out so far. The textured card backs just ooze class, and the deck boxes actually stay together unlike those found in other games. The artwork is a delight, and while the rules might be a little complex, it's fairly easy for any experienced card game player to get into the groove. Games are hectic and unpredictable, and it's rare that a player seizes total control of a match, as their opponent can make a comeback once some of their buffs expire. You also cannot get grade locked or mana deprived. The 2-action system keeps gameplay tight, and a lot of the cards feel really powerful. This includes the generic cards, which, rather than just being inferior versions of element-specific cards, are frequently very powerful in their own right, with their balancing mechanic being that they cannot be used to help pay for a combo. I honestly sort of wonder how they plan to follow up this base set. I really hope they come out with some multi-order heroes, as, like with unaligned cards, they would be automatically balanced due to losing so much combo support. The Lightseekers card game deserves way more attention than it's been getting. I'm actually a little disappointed that Tomy seems to be dragging its heels on getting out all of the hobby and demo support that this game needs, and they're starting to run out of time on establishing a solid base. I can imagine folks coming into a league event, scanning some kind of special weekly mobile game bonus that the hobby store has been given, scanning each other's tribute cards, and playing a few rounds while talking about their latest strategies. Heck, the game even has a way to play with more than 2 players so there aren't any odd men out. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that, didn't I? Some cards refer to your target, and others refer to your enemy. In a 2-player game, they're basically interchangeable, but with 3 or more players, your target is the player to your left, and your enemy is the person on your right who is targeting you. If your target gets defeated, you gain 1 victory point, regain 5 health, and can shuffle 5 cards from your discard pile back into your deck, ignoring the burn rule that normally keeps a card locked in the discard pile. After this, whoever is on your left now becomes your new target. Now, PlayFusion has told me that some kind of hype program is in the works. I just hope it isn't too little too late. I'll definitely keep you guys posted on anything that happens because, if nothing else, this card game deserves to live. It uses some unique elements and is very fun to play. It could be the best new card game not to come out of Japan in a very, very, very long time. So, that's a look at the Lightseekers card game. Join us next time when we take a look at how all of this ties together. Until next time, this is Kohdok signing off.